All right, we are up to Shmuel Aleph, Perek Yotet through Chaf Aleph. There's a lot to do today. So, Shaul tells his son and his servants that he wants to kill David. Somebody want to help this gentleman open the door? Yehonatan, who we know is best friends with David, tells David and what his father said, and he tells him, you better hide out. And in the meantime, Yonatan goes to his father, Shaul, and he basically convinces him. He says, what did he do wrong? He hasn't done anything to you. Why should you have the blood of an innocent man on your hands? And he gives him a whole musar shmooze, and Shaul seems to totally accept it, and he says, you're right, I'm not going to. And he even swears to his son that he is not going to kill David. Yonatan, therefore, goes back to David, tells him that, everything's fine, you can go back to my father's house. And he goes back and as if nothing happened, as if, we're back to normal. Again, there's a war against the Plishtim, or it's called a battle against the Plishtim, and David goes out and he fights the Plishtim, and again, he is totally successful in everything he does. He totally routs the Plishtim. And again, this is connected because of that. Shaul obviously gets jealous, and a ruach ra'ah me'et Hashem, again, an evil spirit from God comes upon Shaul, and he takes out his spear and tries to kill David. While David is playing the harp, right, he tries to kill David. And again, every time he tries to throw a spear at him, David, by chance, happens to just bend down, move out of the way, something, in a way that there's nothing he can do to kill David. And once this happens, obviously, David runs away, realizes, I guess we're back to the old days again, and Shaul is still trying to kill me, so he runs away. Shaul sends messengers to go and catch David and kill him, but his wife, Michal, don't forget David is married to Shaul's wife, Michal, help, what?
David.
What did I say? I'm sorry. Sorry, bad news, right? That would be bad. Shaul's daughter, Michal, and Michal helps David escape. She lowers him down from the window with a rope, and he runs away because the shlichim, the messengers are, let's say, at the front door. She lowers him down the back window, and he runs away. So she tells him, oh, you know what? He's sick. He can't come to the door right now. Okay. So they go back to Shaul. Shaul says, go back there, and I want you to bring him in his bed. I don't care if he's sick. Bring him in his bed. So they do that. They take the bed, and I'm sorry. I forgot to say the most important thing. In the meantime, Michal put something in David's bed. It says trafim, some kind of an idol, but it wasn't an idol they worshipped. It was some kind of a dummy, that she put in the bed. And what was it that she put it at the head? Right, some kind of something from an aze, from a goat, like the skin of a goat with the hair on it. Keilu, as if, that's his head, and it looks like there's hair there. And basically, she made it look like David was in bed, sick. So the Malachim, again, are told by Shaul, go and bring him even with the bed. And they go to do that, and they realize that David's not there, but, it's just a dummy. And David obviously escaped. So Shaul gets very angry at his daughter, Michal. What are you doing? Why are you, trying to save my enemy? And Michal says, he forced me to. He told me he was going to kill me if I don't help him escape. Okay, which is obviously not true, but she also didn't want to get in trouble with her father. David, in the meantime, runs to Shmuel Hanavi. So Shaul hears this, and he sends a group of his henchmen to go and catch David and bring him to Shaul. But when they go, they see Shmuel with a whole group of Nevi'im, and they're all prophesying. And the men of Shmuel, the messengers of Shmuel, all of a sudden get a spirit of God and also start prophesying. So Shaul hears about this, or maybe they come back and tell him that, we couldn't do anything. We just, we got overcome by this spirit of Nevuah. So Shaul sends another group, and it happens again. And he sends a third group, and it happens again. Every group of messengers that he sends, all of a sudden become taken by this nevuah, by this spirit of prophecy, and they can't do anything to David. So Shaul himself decides to go. And he goes, and guess what? The same exact thing happens. And then it says in the last pasuk in Perek Yutet, Vayifshat gam hu bigadav. He even took off his clothes. Now, the Mefarshim, some say that it's literal. He literally got naked. Most of them say that, no, what it means is he took off his royal garments and put on the garments of a regular person or a regular one of these Nevi'im. But I think the simple pshat is, as you continue in the pasuk, Vayitnabe gam hu lifnei Shmuel. He also started prophesying in front of Shmuel. Vayipol arom kol hayom hu v'chol halayla. And he fell there naked. Arom means naked. Some would say it really means that like crazy. You have to understand, when a person got nevuah, it was a very major event in his physically. Only Moshe Rabbeinu was able to get a nevuah and stay sane and stay normal and not have to fall on the ground. Most of the Nevi'im, it's a very profound experience physically. It overtakes their whole body. So he just fell to the floor, started going crazy, ki'ilu, or it means that he literally was naked. Again, we have this phrase before, Hagam Shaul ben Avim. Again, when somebody who doesn't really deserve nevuah becomes a navi, or seemingly doesn't deserve nevuah, they would say this phrase, Hagam Shaul ben Avim. Is Shaul also amongst the Nevi'im? The first time we saw it was a very positive way, that Shaul, this unknown person, gets nevuah in a positive way, that he's going to be the king of Israel. Now it's a much more negative way, that he became a navi in a way that, in order to stop him from killing David. Okay, Yehonatan in the next perek, Yehonatan refuses to believe. David tries to tell him, and he refuses to believe that his father Shaul is trying to kill David. David, however, swears to him that it's the truth, and therefore Yehonatan totally trusts David, especially when he takes a shavua, and therefore he believes him. But David says, you know what? I want you to see for yourself. We'll do a test. If it's really true, if Shaul really wants to kill me. So what are they going to do? David is going to hide in the field somewhere, and he's not going to come to the Su'udah. Every month on Rosh Chodesh, they would have a special Su'udah for everybody in the house, and all the servants of the king would be there, and David's not going to show up. And we'll see what kind of reaction Shaul has. If he says, okay, because Yonatan is going to say that David had to go to Beit Lechem, where his family was having a special Suda, special Simcha for whatever reason, and therefore he couldn't make it. So if Shaul says, all right, fine, not a problem. Then we know that Shaul is okay with David and he really doesn't want to kill him. But if he gets really angry, that's going to be a sign that he really wants to kill David. Yehonatan agrees to this plan. And then we have a swapping, so to say, of shvuot, of oaths that Yehonatan and David take between the two of them. Yehonatan, first of all, swears to David that he will be honest with him. He'll tell him the truth. That if Shaul really wants to kill him, he's going to tell him. Either way, whether it's good or bad, he's going to tell him. And he swears that he's going to save him. That if Be'emet Shaul wants to kill him, Yehonatan is going to be on David's side and he's going to save him from his father. At the same time, Yehonatan makes David take a shavua that he will do chesed with him and his family when David becomes king. And as Yonatan understands that David is going to be the next king, and he says when that happens, he fears that David is going to take vengeance, or God's going to take vengeance on the house of Shaul, which includes him. So he says, you have to swear to me that you're going to protect me. You're going to protect me, and you're not going to kill me, not my family. And they make a covenant between the two of them. That's in Pasuk Tet Zayin, Vayichrot Yehonatan im Beit David, Ubikesh Hashem miyad oivei David, etc. A lot of these psukim in this parak is a very difficult parak, pasuk by pasuk. And I'm giving you the overview. There's so many unclear, so many words missing in the psukim. You have to look at all the mefarshim to explain. I have it here written, but again, we don't have the time to go through each pasuk. But it's very strange, because it's like, why the Navi said it in such an unclear way, I don't have an answer for, but it is very unclear, and you have to really understand how the psukim work. But then we get to in Pasuk Yud Chet, very famous Haftorah, Machar Chodesh, right? Every time Rosh Chodesh falls on a Sunday, so on Shabbos, even though, well, I shouldn't say every time, because if it's one of the Shiva D'Nechimta, then we don't do it. But if it's a regular Haftorah, we will replace the regular Haftorah of that Parsha with this Haftorah. Machar Chodesh, because it starts in Pasuk Yudcher, Vayomer lo Yonatan, Machar Chodesh, v'nifkarata kippah, and that's why, because tomorrow is Rosh Chodesh, so we read this on those days. So what's happening here in the beginning is that Yonatan explains the plan to David in detail. This is exactly what we're going to do. What's going to happen is as follows. David is to hide out for 3 days, somewhere in the field. And on the third day, Yehonatan is going to come out to the field where David is hiding, and he is going to shoot arrows. He's going to shoot arrows. If he tells his nar, the nar is his attendant, right, who's there to fetch the arrows. If he tells the nar, the young lad, oh, the arrows are further, they're further off, go further, then that's a sign that everything's good. David, you should know, that means that my father was perfectly fine. He didn't get angry at the meal because you weren't there. Everything is fine. If, however, he says, I think I got it wrong. No, the opposite. If he says that the arrows are closer, are from where you are, but closer to me, then it means that everything's fine. But if he says it's mi mechavahala, they're from where you are, but further on, then it's a sign that David, you better run away, because Shaul is out to get you. David does this. He hides out in the field. And he doesn't come, of course, that's the whole plan, he doesn't come to the Sudat Rosh Chodesh. On the first day, Shaul doesn't say anything. There's the seat that's next to him, which is supposed to be David, is empty. And he doesn't say anything. I mean, he asks, where David is. Actually, no. I'm sorry, he doesn't ask the first day. He says, must have been, something happened, whatever reason, he didn't show up. Maybe he's not tahor, maybe he had a seminal emission at night, and he's not tahor, and he doesn't want to eat at the thing, because you have to be tahor to eat. Okay, say there. But the next day, because it seemingly it was a 2-day Rosh Chodesh, that's what it seems, again, David is not there. And this time Shaul asks Yonatan, why is David ben Yishai not here yesterday or today? So Yonatan says casually, oh, well, you know what? He had some kind of a family affair in Beit Lechem. He asked me if it was okay if he goes. And I said, sure, why not? No problem. This is very important. Pasuk Lamed. Vayicharav Shaul b'Yonatan. Shaul gets very angry at Yonatan. Vayomer lo ben navat hamardut. You are the son of a rebellious woman, meaning trying to say that you are a rebellious person. You're a rebellious son. Halo yadati ki bocherata leven yishai I know that you choose Ben Yishai, David, over me. Leboshdecha, which is an embarrassment to you. Leboshet ervati mechan, it's an embarrassment to your mother. Meaning, what are you? You could be the next king, and you are siding with David. Ki kol hayamim asher Ben Yishai chai ala adama lo tikon ata u'malchutecha. If Ben Yishai is alive, you're not going to become the king. V'ata shlach v'kach oto, go and get him. Elai to me, ki ben mavetu. So, there's no two ways of interpreting this. Shaul clearly is angry and wants to kill David. Yehonatan says, why should he die? What did he ever do? And listen to this. Shaul picks up a spear to kill his own son. Pasuk Lamed Gimel, vayatel Shaul etachanit alav la'akoto. And at that point, Yonatan knew things are bad, and he runs out. And Yonatan goes to the field, actually the next day, and he does what they said, the sign that they said they were going to do on the third day. He shoots the arrows, and he shoots them, and he says to his lad, go further, the arrows are further. And that's how they knew that, that's how David knew that things were bad and he has to run away. But here's something very interesting. At this point, they gather up all the arrows. He tells the lad, you go to the city and I'll meet you there. And then Yehonatan, David comes out of his hiding place, and they hug and they bless each other, right? And they cry on each other's shoulders, and and it ends with Vayomer Yonatan David, Lech leShalom, go in peace. Asher nishbanu, don't forget what we swore to each other, that whole thing that I explained. But what's very strange here is, like, if they were anyway going to, come out of the hiding and speak directly, so why do they have to make this whole sign of, if I tell you where the arrows are, etc.? He should have just said, okay, after that, I'll send my lad away and I'll talk to you. Yeah?
Yeah, because Yonatan really assumed that it wouldn't be a problem, that would just deal with one angle. But once Yonatan realized that David actually have to flee, he wanted to see him on his life. So the Mepharshim, I hear that. The Mepharshim, what I saw in some of the Mepharshim is that Yonatan was afraid that maybe other people would be around and he wouldn't be able to see David. So at the very least, he'd be able to give him this sign, and then he'd leave, and that's it. Or maybe the Nar wouldn't leave him and he'd stay with him. But the way it actually worked out was perfect. No one else was there. The Nar gladly, went to the city, and then it was really the two of them. So therefore, he felt, okay, we can actually see each other one last time and say goodbye. Yeah. If he's what? Wasn't the whole point of... Because Yonatan didn't believe it. Because imagine, like your father, he didn't want to believe that his father really wanted to kill David. What does that help? He was his best friend.
Because they're good friends, and David wants his help. But Yonatan's refusing to believe that it's even really happening. So he had to show him that it really was true. Huh? Yeah. Yeah, but again, he's alone in the world. He needs some help. He needs someone to help him out. Okay, Perek Chaf Aleph, a little shorter, but the beginning of a very sad story. So David goes to a place called Nov. Nov was known as the Ir HaKohanim. It was the city of Kohanim. And he tells Achimelech, the Kohen, which must have been one of the leading Kohanim there, that Shaul sent him on a very secret mission, and which is why there's no one else with him, because Achimelech was like, what are you doing here by yourself? Like, you're the important figure in the army. Like, why aren't you here with soldiers or with your at least your right-hand men? Like, what? So he said, it's a special mission, and no one else is allowed to know about it. So then he says to him, David says to him, so, do you have any food you can give me? Because I'm on this special mission. I need some food. Of course, this was him saying, I'm hungry and I need some help, But he didn't want to tell him that because he didn't want him to get in trouble for helping David. So he just made this whole story up. So Achimelech says that all he has is lechem kodesh, is holy bread from the lechem apanim. And David says that it's okay in this particular situation, I'm allowed to eat it. As he said, he is tahor, and all these different things. Again, against the details, the Gemara discusses this a lot, this story, exactly what it was, why was David able to eat it. It was a pikuach nefesh, and therefore he was allowed to eat it because there was nothing else. Yeah?
Why does the pasuk say lone? That's in plural.
Which word?
In pasuk vav, it says in Isha, that's through a lone. Should have been like.
Right, because he said he came with other people. They're waiting somewhere else. We haven't been with women in a while, and they're mitmol shel shom, right? And therefore we're not tameim, we're tahorim, and their kelim are tahorim, right? And v'hu derecho v'av ki hayom mikdash bekeli. Again, this is one of these. Again, this parak also. There's a lot the Mefarshim have to explain what each pasuk means. What was David really saying? What was his excuse that Be'emet he's allowed to eat this bread? Whatever it was, in reality, it was because he was dying. He was pikuach nefesh, and this is all he had. And he told Achimelech to give him the food. So Achimelech gives him the lechem apanim, and then the Tanakh tells us, like in parentheses, and there was a person there whose name was Doeg HaEdomi. He was one of the servants of Shaul, and he happened to have been there. Now and then it goes on to continue the story, but it doesn't tell us why it told us that. Well, that's going to be very important in the end, because this Doeg HaEdomi is going to tell Shaul that David was there, and then a terrible, terrible thing is going to happen. I'm not going to tell you. You probably know it already, what Shaul does to the city of Nov Ir Kohanim. It's one of the saddest, terrible, terrible thing. Anyway, we'll get to that next time. But David asks Achimelech, okay, now that you've given me food, I also need a sword. I need some weapons. I don't have any weapons. Again, it was because it was a special mission. I couldn't come with my weapons. Whatever it was, he gives an excuse. Achimelech says, we don't have any weapons. The only weapon we have here is Goliath's sword, right? Which you took. You killed him and you took it and you brought it here.
How did he get to know him?
It's a good question, because we saw that he brought his head to Yerushalayim, but we never saw what happened with the sword. Good question. I don't know, but that's where it was. And David takes the sword, and at this point, what was it? Give me a second. Right. So David continues his flight, his running away from Shaul, and he goes to Achish Melech Gat. You have to understand, Gat is what we call the Gaza, right? The Gaza area. But at that time, it wasn't in our hands, it was in the hands of the Plishtim. So he goes to Achish Melech Gat, and the servants of Achish say, whoa, this is David, Melech HaAretz, the king of the land, which the Mefarshim explain, what does that mean? He wasn't king yet. He wasn't officially king yet, right? But he was a very important person. He was one of the leaders of the Jewish people, is what they meant. And they tell Achish, Melech Gat, this important Jew is here, and they obviously, are going to kill him. So what does David do to save his life? He's very scared. So what does he do? Pasuk Yudalid, Vayishanu etamo. He changes his ways, which means he acted crazy. He acted like something came over him, and he's not all with it, not playing with a full deck, right? Beinehem vayitholel biadam. He went crazy, meaning he did weird things. Vayitav, which means he scratched al daltot ashar. He was sitting there scratching the dalatot, or some say it means he was coloring on them. Vayored riro el zakano. Spit was coming down on his beard. He really acted like a meshuga. Vayomer Achish Tedvav, Vayomer Achish Alavadav, Hinei Tiru Ish Mishtagea. This is a crazy man. Lama taviu oto elai. What are you bringing him to me? Chasar Mishugaim ani. What I don't have enough crazy people around me. Ki hevetem et zel ishtagea alai. Hazeh yavo el beiti. Someone like that should come to my house. And that's how David saves himself, right? We say that in one of our tefillot, right? One of the tefillot I say, I can't remember it right now offhand, is we say, B'shanoto et ta'amo lifnei Avimelech. Here we call him Achish Melech Gat, but in other places called Avimelech. That's the story we're talking about. David acted as if he was crazy in order to save his life and at the same time to run away from Shaul. Okay, we will continue this tomorrow. Say it again?
Avimelech is a generic name for a king?
Yes, exactly. That's what they explain. Achish was his personal